Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Get ready to have your mind blown because today, we're diving deep into the weird, wonderful, and utterly surprising corners of history. We've dug up 30 facts that sound completely made up, but are 100% true. Let's get started. Kicking things off, did you know that in ancient Rome, there was a goddess of the sewer? Her name was Clocina, and she was in charge of the city's entire sewage system. Talk about a tough job. Next up, let's talk about Napoleon Bonaparte. We often picture him as being extremely short, right? Well, that's a myth. He was actually around 5 feet 7 inches tall, which was average for a Frenchman at the time. The confusion came from a mix-up between French and British units of measurement. Now, for a sweet fact. The world's oldest known recipe isn't for bread or stew, but for beer. It's a 3,900-year-old Sumerian poem honoring Ninkasi, the goddess of brewing. It includes a detailed recipe for making beer from barley bread. Believe it or not, the Leaning Tower of Pisa was never straight to begin with. The foundation started to sink on one side shortly after construction began in the 12th century, causing it to tilt. They tried to correct it over the years, but it just kept leaning. Here's one from the animal kingdom. During World War I, a pigeon named Cher Ami saved the lives of nearly 200 American soldiers by delivering a crucial message, despite being shot. She became a hero of the 77th Infantry Division. Ever heard of the Great Emu War? In 1932, Australia declared war on its emu population, which was destroying crops. Soldiers armed with machine guns were deployed, but the emus proved to be surprisingly difficult targets. In the end, the emus won. Before alarm clocks, there were knocker-uppers. These were people hired in Britain and Ireland during the Industrial Revolution to wake up workers. They would use long sticks to tap on windows, or even shoot peas at them until the person woke up. In the 19th century, ketchup was sold as medicine. It was marketed as a cure for things like indigestion, and was even made into pills. It wasn't until the late 1800s that it became the condiment we know and love today. Let's jump to the Viking Age. Vikings didn't actually wear horned helmets. This popular image was created by a costume designer for an 1876 opera. Real Viking helmets were much simpler, usually conical or rounded, and made of iron or leather. Here's a chilling fact. Before the invention of modern dentistry, dentures were often made from the teeth of fallen soldiers. These were grimly known as Waterloo teeth, after the famous battle. Speaking of presidents, Abraham Lincoln was a licensed bartender. In 1833, he owned a saloon in Springfield, Illinois. He was also a champion wrestler in his youth, with only one recorded loss in about 300 matches. Now for a royal fact. King George I of England couldn't speak a word of English. He was German and communicated with his British ministers in French. Imagine trying to rule a country when you can't even speak the language. In the 17th century, tulips were so valuable in the Netherlands that their bulbs were worth more than gold. This period, known as tulip mania, saw a single bulb sell for more than the price of a house before the market crashed spectacularly. Did you know that the shortest war in history lasted only 38 minutes? It was fought between Britain and Zanzibar. On August 27, 1896, Zanzibar surrendered after a brief but intense naval bombardment. Let's talk about the Olympics. From 1912 to 1948, art competitions were part of the Olympic Games. Medals were awarded for painting, sculpture, architecture, literature, and music. The founder of the modern Olympics, Pierre de Coubertin, even won a gold medal for literature. During the Cold War, the CIA launched a project called Acoustic Kitty. They attempted to train a cat to spy on the Soviets by implanting a microphone and a radio transmitter into it. The project was a massive failure and was abandoned after the first mission. Moving to ancient Egypt, people used to shave off their eyebrows to mourn the death of their cats. Cats were considered sacred animals, and harming one, even accidentally, was a serious crime. Here's a surprising one about fashion. High heels were originally designed for men. Persian soldiers in the 10th century wore them to help secure their feet in stirrups while riding horses. They only became a fashion statement for women much later. Before becoming president, Andrew Jackson was involved in as many as 100 duels, most of which were to defend his wife's honor. He was even shot in the chest during one duel, but the bullet was so close to his heart that it could never be safely removed. In Victorian England, it was popular to take photographs of deceased family members, a practice known as post-mortem photography. These photos were a way to remember loved ones, often posed as if they were just sleeping. Let's head back to the Romans. They used stale urine as a form of mouthwash. The ammonia in it was thought to disinfect their mouths and whiten their teeth. I think I'll stick with mint-flavored toothpaste, thanks. A fun food fact. Ice cream was once a rare delicacy reserved for the elite. In the 17th century, King Charles II of England had it served at a lavish banquet, making it the first time many people in the country had ever heard of it. For all the book lovers out there, the first ever novel, The Tale of Genji, was written in Japan in the early 11th century by a noble woman named Murasaki Shikibu. It's a complex story about courtly life. Did you know that the word avocado comes from the Aztec word wucatl, which also means testicle? It was likely named for its shape and because it was thought to have special powers. Here's a bizarre legal case. In 1474, a rooster in Basel, Switzerland, was put on trial for the unnatural crime of laying an egg. The rooster was found guilty and sentenced to be burned at the stake. The Great Fire of London in 1666, which destroyed much of the city, had a surprisingly low official death toll of just 6 people. However, many historians believe the actual number was much higher, as the deaths of the poor and middle class weren't recorded. Let's talk about a famous composer. Beethoven was known for his messy habits. He would often pour cold water over his head while composing to stay awake, which would flood the floors of his apartment and annoy his downstairs neighbors. Ever wonder why pirates wore eye patches? It wasn't always because they were missing an eye. It's believed that they wore them to keep one eye adjusted to the dark, so when they went below deck, they could switch the patch and see immediately in the low light. In medieval Europe, animals could be put on trial for crimes. There are records of pigs, rats, and even insects being prosecuted in court for everything from property damage to murder. And for our final mind-blowing fact, the city of Chicago was raised by several feet in the 1850s to install a new sewage system. Engineers used thousands of jack screws to lift entire buildings, sometimes while people were still inside working. And there you have it, 30 historical facts that prove reality is often stranger than fiction. Which one surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through the past, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more amazing content, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.